As we all can remember, 2020 was quite an interesting time. It was a time when a lot of things changed. It also really changed our outlook on the future of the off-grid compound and how we needed to become more sustainable and further our security efforts. In late winter of 2020, we found a good deal on a small cab-over trailer. This was a good change for us because we were able to get out of the shipping container just in time for the heat of the spring. Time to utilize building materials on the property. Here we had an existing abandoned structure that was semi-collapsed that we decided to dismantle and set aside different piles to use for later building projects. Also, we could utilize this space for growing plants maybe? I don't know, we'll see what happens. Here's the piles: stone, tires, wood, more wood, Nicole cooking up some lunch. We even planted cactus around the perimeter from water caught by rain. We got a water tank, a 1,200-gallon water tank that we hauled through the desert with Joshua trees dancing in the desert sunset. We hauled it in and found a level spot to place it. Just checking the attachments. Somehow rolled it off the trailer and found a good place to plant it. The next learning curve was where to get water, how to haul it, and how pumps worked and how to pump things from one thing to another. And yet, the California desert will teach us these lessons and much, much more to come. We got a little travel trailer for a good price. Clean it up. The travel trailer was nice. It was from the late 80s. And it was a little bit used, but it was decent. Definitely a good living space. Kind of like a tiny home. All of the appliances worked. Everything except for maybe the plumbing, but we didn't really need to set that up because we just set up an outdoor shower. Yeah, the wiring was good. It was a cozy little spot, a good place. Let's go for a little walk and take a look at the outside. It's a well-made piece of machinery. Definitely solid. Still use the shipping container almost as maybe a living room / kitchen / storage. Keeping the new cactuses watered and happy. It's important to water your cactuses or any plant that has been freshly transplanted. I noticed that the fresh cactus was very happy if I watered it regularly, especially at first. So in constant pursuit of trying to find a water source, and especially before I found a city water source really close to the property, I would often fill up at friends and family's houses. Thank you, everybody. That really helped. At this point, things are really coming together on the property. I'm starting to understand the systems, and I'm starting to learn how to design them in order to fit our needs. In this case, this is a wiring system that runs to the pump off the generator into the RV, so it's powering all three things and also using this pump to pump the water from the IBC tote into the poly tank. This is the beginning days to systems I use regularly now. While the rest of the world was on lockdown, we were happily on lockdown on our property, just using all of our resources to build it up as best as we could and enjoying the isolation away from all of the craziness in the city. Oh boy, looks like the winds are kicking in. This is common in the springtime, although at this time I had no idea what was to come. Oh, the calm after the storm. You can really start to see how the property is progressing, how trails are being made where we walk a lot, how there's spaces being cleared, how the sun is hitting and exposing certain plants and drying them out. The shipping container is our vantage point. We can see everything in a 360 view. Because I begin noticing that the best way to make a clearing is by walking over it repetitively, or in this case, driving over it, I start making a big clearing where I want to start to expand the homestead. Woohoo! Time to go off-roading! Woohoo! This is much more fun in person. However, I later learned this is pretty reckless because those grease willows will definitely pop a tire, which I learned the hard way a couple days after this. Uh-oh. We got a Mojave Red Racer mating with a possible albino Mojave Red Racer. Please let me know if you know. Beautiful sight. They were so fast. Watch how fast they move. Oh! Crazy. When you find old expired products, like in this case, this one was 12, 11, 15, so it was probably abandoned around 2013, 14. But when you have these products, you want to take them and feed them to your compost. Because what else are you going to do with them? Haul them all the way out to the dump? No, you don't want to put that in your truck. So I just feed it to my compost. It's about to throw the pallet at me. See if we can catch it. This is a good example of how strong the winds are. Look how it's lifting up the pallet. Here's a quick look inside of the shady growing area. And on the outside, looks like it's a bit windy outside. Springtime is for mating. So afterwards we would collect all the brush and then burn it. That was the best method for clearing the field fast. You can see here how the field is starting to come to fruition. I think this was also a great deterrent for the snakes. That way we don't accidentally step on one when we're just walking around. Another good method for creating space in the desert is by throwing big pieces of plywood on top of the sagebrush and other plant life in order to slowly break it down, almost like a compost. After a while they'd be broken down and it would be flattened and it would be much easier to take apart. There's our ongoing stacks of tires. You'll see we always have tires laying around because tires are the best building material in the desert. Use them for a lot of different projects. Springtime is the best time to start working in the desert. You can get a lot done because obviously it's not too hot yet. Just taking a look at the field and watching how it progresses. Let's go see how the compost pile is doing. One of my favorite things to do is to watch how things compost and how things regenerate. It's a pretty decent start. Looks a little dry. Let's take a look around the property. Oh, so we did end up setting up a shade cloth around those posts to create an enclosure for plant life to grow. And there's our two non-potable rain catchment totes. Just a look around the property. You can still see how things are progressing. Had to build an awning for shade. the latent fun time. Just here you can see some of the things you need to get started to start your homestead out in the desert. Water tank, trailer, transfer totes. Over there is a abandoned cab over that was currently just being used for more storage. And here is a makeshift generator house. Just a bunch of recyclables, things we can use to build or scrap. Let's climb up the shipping container ladder and take a look. From above, you can really see the progression of things. You could see how at this point the season has now changed to a deep spring, almost to the point where it's going to be summer and it's going to be hot. And here's our compost toilet. Just a hole in the ground that we fill with pine chips. Compost, burn pile, big open field, growing area, piles of tires, water catchment, trash recycling, just more recyclable off-grid supplies. More recycling. It's all about utilizing the resources that you have. Water storage, water transfer. There's the outdoor shower to the right. There's Tonka just walking around. He's our protection. At this time, we didn't really film very much or vlog or anything. We just kind of lived and existed and built up. It takes a lot to live out here. I mean, survival's number one, and if you're not on top of your game, things get hard. Our nearest neighbors are wind turbines. It's a beautiful place, though. Look at those springtime clouds just rolling in. It won't be long before summer rolls in, and you guys can see how things changed. This desert can really beat the crap out of you. It can really test your willpower. There's a lot of stories that we could tell around the campfire, but we'll save that for another episode, so stay tuned.